Welcome back to In Focus, everyone. It seems that Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is not the only bad thing or politician to come out of New York. Congressman-elect George Santos is certainly giving her a run for her money. As you certainly know by now, he's received a lot of backlash, justified, very recently for his alleged compulsive lying that even he has admitted to. It's evident that Santos is not too popular a member as he was seen alone on the first day of votes. Kind of sad, but I reckon he deserves it. I mean, even AOC was getting talked to by Republicans. Some may consider her, certainly, rightfully to be insufferable. But to my dismay, she's apparently got nothing on George Santos because neither Republicans nor Democrats in Congress seem to want to associate themselves with him. Here he is on the first day of the House Speaker vote, all alone by himself. And to make him all the less likable, just when he finally was spoken to, Santos momentarily held up voting on the fifth ballot for Speaker when he failed to respond to his name being called. Watch.
Sanchez. Jeffries. Santos. Santos. Sarbanes.
Now, this may be a far leap, but since we've all found out what a liar Santos really is, some are speculating his identity is also in question as he wasn't responding to his name being called, which, honestly, I wouldn't put it past him, nor anyone else in the D.C. swamp. Joining me now to discuss this is Ian Haworth, host of the show Off Limits with Ian Haworth. Ian, thank you for joining me. So he's essentially been alone, Santos has, the entire time in the House. Some people have finally put him out of his misery and gone and spoken with him and gone and sat with him. But hard to feel bad for this guy when he has just lied over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, everything he's told us is false about himself. Like, he lied about his education background. He lied about his work background. He lied about his religion, saying he was Jewish and now he's just Jewish. Every single thing about him is a lie. But do you know how much of a liar you have to be for people in DC to shun you? That is a city based on lies. Every single person there lies on a daily basis. And yet George Santos has gone too far. I think that's telling us everything we need to know.
Well, he even appeared to lie on Twitter about his mother's death, when she died. At first he said she died on 9/11, and then he tweeted out another anniversary of her death. And you know, politicians in D.C., they're pretty despicable. I don't know how many of them have lied about their mother's death to garner sympathy for their campaign. That's talk about low. I mean, it doesn't get much lower than that.
Well, that's Joe Biden level lying. I mean, Joe Biden lies all the time about his son's death and how he died and where he was when he died and all kinds of things. That's like deep level seeded lying. And I think George Santos is taking a page out of Joe Biden's book there. It's really pretty despicable. But something that does give me hope is that he is being shunned. I think the entire GOP is pushing him out. I think it's quite clear where they stand on just lies of this level. I would like it if we did more to push out lies from our side. But I think he's shown everyone that this is just too far. Like, candidates need to at least give some semblance of what they stand for before being elected. And I hope we learn a lesson here and actually do a Google search on candidates before we vote them in, because a lot of these things were pretty obvious. Like, calling his former employers would have shown this. For example, calling the colleges he claimed to have graduated from would have shown this. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has a degree. It's not even hard in the United States these days to graduate from college. He didn't manage to do that. It's on us to actually vet our candidates.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, Richie Torres, a congressman-elect in New York City as well, he's a Democrat, but nonetheless, he tweeted this out, and he brought the receipts. He said, George Santos has been caught embellishing his congressional resume, falsely claiming that he cast a vote against the omnibus budget on December 23rd, 2022. As we all know, he wasn't even a congressman at the time. And he made it out right here. Here's the screenshot of him saying that he voted on the omnibus bill before he was ever even sworn in. How do you, I don't care, obviously everyone in DC lies, Ian. How do you expect to get away with lying about being in office? I mean,
again, Joe Biden has done this. Joe Biden has lied about every part of his life. For all we know, George Santos is going to be elected president in a few years' time. If he comes out as a Democrat, suddenly all of this will go away. But again, it shows he's a true member of the GOP right now, given that he says he voted for the omnibus package. I don't even know what Republican means anymore. I just don't know what to think. He's a complete clown of a character. I just hope that more attention doesn't get placed on him than where it should be, which is the complete clown show of Congress right now, and really the lack of identity on the Republican side, because we're seeing what should be an absolutely massive red wave turn into a non-existent blue trickle, I guess. There's a lot of depressing stuff going on, and George Santos is just eating up the attention because it's quite clear quite clearly what he wants. He's quite a obviously troubled character, and hopefully he just gets to go away and maybe work on his lying a little bit, because he has a problem.
Yeah, that he certainly does. He might change his bio any day now. We're anticipating here at OAN as to Speaker of the House of Representatives, George Santos. We'll have to see. Ian Haworth, host of Off Limits, thank you so much for being here. Great to have you back.
Thanks for having me. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And before I let you go, put George Santos aside real quick. I played some of this clip a while back on the show. It bears repeating now that Santos is a congressman-elect. Let us not forget, as our friend Ian so kindly pointed out, that Washington is filled to the brim with pathological liars, all the way up to and including Joe Biden.
Democratic presidential candidate Joseph Biden today faces a controversy. 3 weeks ago at a debate at the Iowa State Fair, he used phrases identical to those delivered by British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock.
Biden seemed to be claiming Kinnock's vision and life as his own.
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Gladys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
My ancestors who worked in the coal mines in northeast Pennsylvania and come up after 12 hours and play football.
8 hours underground and then come up and play football.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
There was no platform upon which they could stand.
The notion that every thought or notion or idea you'd have to go back and find and attribute to someone, I think is, quite frankly, ludicrous.
The problem here is that Senator Biden told his audience he'd just been thinking about these things, and he failed to give any credit at all to his famous British speechwriter.
You know, I was thinking on the way over here. Now, that's a little too much, because, as you point out, what's behind the words? What's there? And a lot of people, the rap on Biden has always been that it's just a surface.
I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, it's the only time I didn't, and all the times I've ever used it.
But CBS News found a tape of a second instance.
It reappeared in the New York Times with a new charge, that Biden had appropriated a famous litany from the late Robert Kennedy about what the gross national product cannot measure.
It cannot measure the health of our children,
The health of our children,
the quality of our education,
the quality of their education,
the joy of their play,
or the joy of their play.
Biden gave Kennedy no credit. He has also quoted or paraphrased John Kennedy, Hubert Humphrey, and British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock, all without credit.
Joseph Biden admitted today that he committed plagiarism when he was in law school. He said it was a mistake, but that it was unintentional.
He quoted 5 pages of someone else's work without proper citation.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
He was given an F.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb.
To the political community in Washington, it all seems of a piece. Plagiarism at law school, plagiarism on the stump.
The great communicator. Strike that. The great imitator.
You don't steal verbatim, or when you do, as he did 99% of the time, you give credit.
Biden's critics say he sells himself as a man whose words and visions can inspire a new generation in politics. But if the thoughts, phrases, and visions really belong to others, it's a form of false advertising.
Senator Joseph Biden may have more explaining to do.
Hey, just saying. It's not whataboutism. It's not, any of those things. It's just the truth, my friends, like it or not.